Hey, I'm Mike.
Hey, I'm Chris.
This is Mike and Chris Reloaded. This week we actually have a guest with us. Our topic is going to be about witchcraft. We're actually going to do an interview with someone who does practice or has practiced Wiccan. But it's important to keep her anonymous due to the I don't
The
know.
nature of the subject.
Yeah, the nature of the subject and where we live is a very Christian area and very intolerable sometimes, and especially
Which is
just
actually pretty sad, but
it is sad that people aren't more open minded and it's polarized in our area because just in 2015 in July there was actually a triple homicide in Pensacola, Florida, that was believed to have been a Wiccan. I don't want to say sacrificial kill because, as we'll learn in this podcast, you know, it's not. It's
they,
against their
yeah, they
beliefs.
don't do that stuff.
Yeah, it's against their beliefs. But it happened on a blue moon, and it happened to be a Wiccan practitioner who committed these murders. So it's kind of a polarized topic in our area. So please don't try to guess on social media who she is. Or if you do know who she is, don't say it. Let's just respect her anonymity. And
Yeah,
I
you
said
said it.
it.
Yeah, you
I
did.
practiced that word before before we started too.
So with that, let's just say hello. What can we call you?
Yeah, what should we call you?
What should we
Should we call
call
you
you?
Jane? Mary Jane?
Madam Mim, Madam Mim,
Madam?
Glinda,
Ma'am?
Glinda the Good Witch.
All the above.
All the above?
That works.
How about we just say you?
That works too.
All right, so
Miss.
X.
There we go, Miss
That's
X.
what we'll do. Miss X. So Miss X, can you tell us what it is that you have practiced in your life
My lifetime.
as far as the witchcraft scene?
Um, I have practiced Wicca. I have practiced um, mostly eclectic, um, Celtic, um, delved into the fairy pantheon, Italian. There's quite a long list, but just in a nutshell, to nutshell everything, it's mostly just labeled eclectic.
Okay.
Now, to to get an idea of certain things, witchcraft by definition is a practice of magic, especially black magic, and the use of spells and invocation of spirits. Um, so this is why we talked about as far as being anonymous on certain things. So you said you practiced a wide variety of some. I mean, is there anything specific that you, try to stick with, or I mean,
Mostly Celtic, the Celtic side of things,
okay,
pulled very strongly towards Scotland, Ireland culture.
okay. Does that
So
involve a lot of like, as far as like rituals, or I
it
mean,
can. It depends upon the practitioner,
okay,
how they feel. If somebody wants to do what they call high magic, then they would prepare for a long time before doing anything. And then there are others that, and I am one of these, that believes that the person, the accoutrements that you can have, the athame, the wand, the staff, drum, water, it's all trappings.
no,
So the majority of it is just the practitioner themselves.
okay. So, but in the Celtic, I know a lot of it's you coincide Celtic with like druids and stuff like that, and things of that
It's,
nature. Which I guess it's a lot of earth-based magic.
yes,
So,
exactly.
um,
So, like, I know the Wiccan. I want to say religion,
it is
because
actually classified as a religion.
right, it's a religion, and I like to say that they believe in basically elements. Am I right?
Yes,
Elements
there's
are the deities. There's deities over the elements, or
that correspond, yes.
there's two deities. Some believe two, some believe multiple. What area do you fall in?
I fall into the multiple. Um, for me, it makes more sense to, like, a man can be, well, he is, because he's a man inherently. He is a son, because he was born to parents. He's also a student, an employee, a teacher, a father, a brother, an uncle, all these different things, but still the one man. In the way that I think of deity is along the same lines, whereas there is this one source of everything, and it just depends upon what facet or what side of the deity you identify with better.
Okay, so when approximately did you or do you remember first becoming interested in this type of subject? And I want to say religion again, and I know I'm going against everything me and Chris always said about, but when I created the idea for this podcast, I was stupid and didn't realize that this is actually a religion. And we said that we would never do religion or politics, so this kind of goes against what what we've talked about.
Well,
But
yes and no, but I think it delves in more of an occult style, not cult,
occult, right?
occult
Yeah,
style, based on and just because Miss X here practices, and she's not necessarily a Wiccan, but she practices her certain, rituals or whatever, depending on what she believes in, this and that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's all religious based, and we were talking about this before that more people have been killed in the name of God than any other
oh
people,
yeah,
and not just our God, just any God,
right.
So it's just this stuff has always fascinated me since I was little. I've always read about different things and stuff like that. We were talking, like when we were talking in our little meeting, talking about the Aleister Crowley, how influence that he had on this stuff right here. Um, but it's yeah, we talked about not doing religion or whatever, but this is not necessarily talking about religion. It's more talking about beliefs as
Right.
far as
Yeah, I see your point.
you know what I'm saying.
If I
Yep.
can interject real quickly, I think what you're trying to get at is that the fact that Wicca, paganism, is, yes, it can be, and it has been classified as a religion by the government. However, it's more of a personal viewpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, more or less. Yeah, that's we. In fact, it's a very actually Wicca is very actually new. I mean, it was just basically started practicing in the early 20th century, and it didn't even get recognized till around the early 1950s. So it's still, I mean, by standards, it's like an infant,
Right.
And there's actually, because of the subject matter of it and the beliefs of it, there's a lot of people out there, but only, I think I was reading, only something like 17 to 20% are people actually known to be a Wiccan. They're not, those ones are out of the closet, so to say.
There was a study and it said back in the 90s that the Wiccan religion or had about 800 followers in the U.S. at the time, and now as of 2000, not current. This study was up to 2008. As of 2008, there's 365,000 followers of Wiccan. But my question before I got thrown off guard: when did you draw interest in this? At what age did you start feeling that this is something that you're interested in?
When I was in my teens, it's very common. Actually, between 16 and 18, 18 especially, you got to be an adult and started really looking at everything else. I was raised differently. I chose to explore other ideals, other thought processes that people had because I did not agree with I did not wholly agree what I was being brought up as.
So
Okay.
would you consider yourself rebellious then? I mean,
When you're 18, you always want to be rebellious.
well, yeah, when you're young like that, I mean, obviously, you see something that's new and interesting and fascinating. It's like, hey, let me check this out, And it's and we were talking about before. We talked about the pentacle and everything else, how it's associated with the pentagram and everything else, and it gives a false misconception of things. So when you talk about how you're 16, 18 years old and you see this thing, it's like, oh, this is fascinating. It almost seems like, oh, I'm just being rebellious.
Partly, yes, because at that age, you are supposed to branch out from what you have been taught and start learning about your world in a way that makes sense to you. So, yes, when I was 16, still living at home, I I got whatever my hand, books on, I got my hands on whatever books I possibly could
Mm-hmm.
in order to try and figure out my own answers because I asked questions to certain religious leaders in my community and I did not find any comfort in their answers. So I went to find comfort elsewhere.
And I think this is where the misconception comes in about witchcraft and everything else. People, seeing something and not understanding and fearing it or whatever because of, like I said, Miss X, when she's 16, 18 years old, it seems almost rebellious. Then it's like, oh my gosh, this is something, you know, the devil's put in her or whatever, this, that, even though it's something she's just interested in, wanting to, learn about. I mean, when I was the same age, I didn't want to practice it, but I just wanted to learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to clarify something. You had said earlier, and you were focusing on Wicca, and I understand that. However, when you really look back into folklore and history, you will see that the midwives and the healers, the village healers, they are all dealing with the same types of things. That's where a lot of the knowledge that we have now comes from.
Right. Wicca is actually it is a religion, and what happened it's called the old believers, I believe is what they say. And what I understand is that it's a study. It's fairly new. I think it came in the 50s or 60s when it was adopted, but it's based off of what religion was like before Christianity took over.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the Wiccan. So technically, yes, the Wiccan religion has been around since the test of time, as far as your shamans and your healers and stuff. So, I see that point in it there.
Yeah, and we had talked before about how, I mean, you practice any type of like rituals, any type of like, uh, not so much spells, but maybe like, I know there's a lot of herbs involved and things like that. I mean, do you mix a lot of herbs, mix a lot of potions, things of that nature? Or?
I have in the past, again.
Do you
all
own
of
a
these.
pestle?
Pestle
Yes, I
mortar?
do. I do. I have a mortar and pestle. I
That's
have these
that's
things.
not saying much because Kent owns one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Kent mixes drugs with it.
I have these things. I also, and I really love and identify with stones. I have experience in a New Age shop and I absolutely loved it and I learned a lot. And dealing with the different stones and the energies that they have. But once I was removed from that, I found I didn't really miss it because I remember how I felt when I was there. So that memory and that experience is still there. And I do still have new experiences quite often.
Okay, you say stones, like as in like certain crystals and stuff like that? Okay.
Crystals,
I just wanted to try
stones.
to be clear and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, here's $1 million question for everybody here. Now, I already know the answer to this question, but do you believe in hexing people? I want to ask that question.
No, honestly, I do not. And
Okay.
most true Wiccans, especially, will not.
Right.
Because the entire basis of the Wiccan religion is the threefold law. And that is what you put out comes back to you times 3.
Right.
Charmed got that one right.
Right. Yeah, I knew the answer to that question, but some of our listeners might not have understand. So to get that clarified is Wiccans do not believe in doing any form of magic to harm or to disadvantage any other person, because they're going to get that magic back to them 3 times as bad.
So I can't give you like a little voodoo doll of Mike and have you like slap himself in the head.
You can do it if you'd like, but I don't want to.
Everybody wants to slap Mike in the head. So, what are some? Now, I know there's important dates that surround Wiccan religion. What are some important dates to you? I mean, you don't have to name all the. I think there's like 8 celestial events or something like that. I don't know them all, but
well, there's the Wheel of the Year.
Yeah.
And again, I try to observe. Again, life gets in the way. I am still human, and I have a life that I have to provide, go to work, earn money just like everybody else. But every month,
not cheap.
Some ingredients are not, but every month there's full moon and there's a new moon. Those are events for Wiccans. Also, the major solar holidays are throughout the year, and they do coincidentally correspond more or less with the major holidays that most people in the area celebrate as well.
Well, it's been said that a lot of the actual holidays that we celebrate or whatever were derived off of pagan.
And they were.
Religions anyway.
I have done research on that, and I have found that to be absolutely.
So just to say, some of our listeners, what is a pagan?
Pagan.
People against goodness and niceness?
No. Pagan, I identify more as a pagan than a Wiccan personally, only because you had said it yourself that, yes, there is black magic. It's out there. Just like there is white. There is also gray, so a mixture of the two. Because in my experience, you've not ever been able to do something to protect yourself without hurting somebody else. It's a balance.
So if is there excuse me, like in Christianity you have God, who's supposed to be the all-knowing, all father, whatever, and then you have his adversary, which is Satan. I mean, is there like in any type of that, like the deities that you believe in, is there like ones you pray to or worship or confide in? Is there an adversary that you guys have?
They are within
so to speak,
themselves,
I guess you can
just
say.
like, and it sounds funny because humans are fallible and gods are not supposed to be fallible. But when you look at the different cultures, Greek has Zeus is the big guy, and his antithesis is Hades.
Yeah.
Hades really isn't bad though. Yes, he is Lord of the Dead. Yes, he resides in Hades, which is kind of funny, but he is vilified most of the time. But if you look at what he has been put through, how would you have handled it? That's how I look at it.
So I guess, I mean, theoretically, you can say the same thing about God and Satan.
True. Lucifer is just a fallen angel. Not saying I pray to Lucifer, but I just to clarify. But he has a place. He has a place. He had a place, and he basically made God very angry and was cast out.
Yep. And this is, again, this goes back to what I was saying before. This is where the misconception comes in, where people think you see someone as a pagan or a Wiccan, they're automatically evil, Satan worshiping, because of your beliefs of how everything, like you said, everything has a place or whatever,
Has a balance.
has a balance. But it's, in Christianity, it's just like you got God, good, Satan, bad. It's black and white with them.
Yeah, it's not that black and white. Life is not that black and white. And that's the experiences that we have to draw from. Yes, it's wonderful to think that there is a heaven out there where everything is all wonderful and peaceful and there's no conflict at all. Well, who's to say that heaven just isn't below instead? And it might be called the Summerlin instead of hell.
That is true. And again, I'm not trying to whatever. I'm in along the lines with you. I believe there's a higher power and everything else. I mean, I know there's different things that everyone believes in, like um, you guys, there's agnostic. There's polytheism, which is a belief of many pagan gods. I guess what we would call you, right?
Yes.
Bittheism, which is there's a god and a goddess. There's two. Or bitheism, I should say. Monotheism, which is what people believe there's a single god. And then there's also pantheism, which I guess it recognizes a God in the universe, but denies transcendence.
Pantheism, more in my understanding, it's not one that I've really researched, and that's an unfamiliar word to me, I'm going to be honest. But in paganism and Wicca, a lot of people say, what pantheon do you follow? And in my experience, the pantheon is the culture of those gods. You have the Greek pantheon, you have the Roman pantheon, you have the Egyptian pantheon, you have the Celtic and the Norse, and those are all different cultures as well. And they all correspond to one another.
So have you seen Elvis, and is he okay?
No, I've not seen Elvis. I was a big fan for a while, even though he died long ago.
That was a Ghostbusters reference, in case you didn't know.
Nope, didn't know that one.
I couldn't help it.
That's okay.
It just fit right in there. But so give me an idea of what type of things can people do to bless their house and bless themselves with good fortune in your beliefs.
A lot of times, what we'll do is you take water and salt, mix it together, and you hold it and concentrate on what you would like that to do. What is your intent with that? Like I told Chris before, I don't use a lot of props anymore. For me, it's mostly mental. If I'm feeling threatened, I'll think shields up, and I will have shields around me. Nobody else can see them. I can feel them. I'm okay with that. And I have had experiences where I have done that. I had felt threatened, and as soon as I did, I felt better. I knew I was protected, and there was no harm that would come to me.
Okay.
Is there any specific rituals that you may have practiced in the past that you still might continue to practice? I know you said we talked about the different special dates or whatever, but I mean, is there specific rituals that you practice on those dates or have practiced on those dates in the past? Or
yeah, full moon is a very popular one among most Wiccans, pagans. I was an honored member of the coven. I was honored to be a member of the coven I was with. Very special people, very powerful. We had done a ritual when Desert Storm was going on to close the door of violence that was open, because we were sad to see so many people dying and so much conflict, and we wanted our soldiers to come home, and we don't want any more killing. We still don't want any more, but that was quite a few years ago, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More recently, I will take a moment, and I do teach. I use the word loosely. I instruct more than anything, for like full moon. That full moon it brings abundance, protection. New moon, the darker the moon, that's when usually the darker things are done. So new moon or the full moon is the most popular, I think, in my experience, anyways.
So let's talk about the dark side for a second. Chris alluded or mentioned Aleister Crowley. And I'll let Chris talk a little bit about him because he did some research on him. But I also know that some Wiccans do practice, or I don't want to say they practice or it's true believers of the religion, but I know that this could be some, not this could be, let me see. Some people incorrectly state that this could be considered a sex religion too. Have you heard those?
There is sex magic, yes.
Because that basically, the art of copulating and some of the tools that are used are based on sexual innuendos or sexual objects in the religion. I mean, is that something that you did or something that you were privy to, or is this just like is it a is it just like a bad name that the Wiccan religion has been getting?
No, I have participated in sex magic, whether my partner knew or not, I don't know. But again, all the practitioner needs is themselves and their body. You can't really get out of your body unless you're dead, so you use what you have. And it's not, I never used it for bad or ill, in my opinion. Um, I never hurt anybody with it intentionally.
Okay.
Well, that's why I was going back to where we're talking about the rituals. I know there's a couple of them that involve certain things, like the Great Rite or the Skyclad.
Being skyclad just means nude.
Yeah.
Without robes, without clothes. You come to your chosen deity or your patron deity as you were born.
But I also was looking too, it's all done in a circle, correct? And there's a specific reason it's done in a circle.
Circle is protection.
Okay.
That is the basic explanation.
Yeah, no, the symbol is what the symbol is was the
Pentangle is what?
Pentacle.
The pentacle.
Pentacle, yeah. And it's surrounded by a circle because the circle is a protection of the pentacle.
However, there's also the pentagram.
Yes, but that's a misconception, right? That's inverted pentagram is what Satanists use.
Yes.
It's kind of like hanging the cross upside down.
Right.
Basically, yes. That's for Baphomet.
Right. So that's part of the reason that this gets a bad rap, in my opinion, too, is because, it's the same as a cross. It's just a different thing. You put your cross upside down or you use an inverted pentagram. People take everything that can be good in the world and make evil. And that's my belief, personally, on, the whole subject. And I'll say my belief right now that no matter what you believe in, God, Wiccan, any form of deity,
Allah, Buddha,
Buddha, whatever, there's always a good and there's always an evil of some sort. Evil could be something as simple as time. Just something that's constant in the universe. could be your adversary. So I mean, there's always something good and evil. So you take something good like Wiccan, which, from what I'm understanding, is something that's supposed to have positive energy into the universe, and somebody takes their beliefs and turned it into something evil too by inverting their pentagram.
Well, you can go back to.
Let's talk about Aleister Crowley.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
we're running out of time here, so.
Aleister Crowley was a leader of an occult back in the late 1800s. In fact, he didn't die until 1946, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was alive in the 1900s. Um, anyway, he changed his name. I think his name was like Theodore Crowley or something. Anyway, he changed his name to Aleister Crowley because I guess in any type of language you try to translate it, it always equaled the number 666. So he was true, like just evil. He practiced rituals. He practiced rituals on children, and I'm talking like just sexual, sacrificial rituals on children, because he believed that by doing this to children, he would be able to take their energy and transfer it into the person doing the sacrifice and be able to live longer.
This is crazy.
Yeah, this guy was just certified insane. But I think with some people like that is what gives things like this a bad name. And when you take things like that to the extreme, and you can name off all kinds of people, Applewhite from the Hill Bop, Jim Jones from all these people that claim God has touched them or whatever, but yet they're responsible for hundreds and hundreds of deaths and just gruesome things. And that's what we're talking about, good and evil. That's where the evil lies, and we were talking just at the beginning of this thing how more people have been killed in the name of God than anything else.
Right.
So, and I think it's good. Excuse me. I think it's good to keep an open mind on things.
I'm not smoking next to him.
No, he's not this time.
No.
I think it's good to keep an open mind on things. And like I said, this has always been something I've been fascinated in. And I'm not saying I'm going to run out there and become a Wiccan or anything else. I'm just saying it's just something that's always just piqued my interest on stuff. But
I'm sure there's like lots of support for people like this in the area too. I know it's such a polarized subject, but I just wish that we lived in a day and a time where people could just be people, and without criticism and without judgment. But
I think it's worse now than it ever was.
Yeah.
You got people who, we talk about religion. People get made fun of religion, made fun of their color, made fun of their race, made fun of their sexual orientation, made fun of everything. All the freedoms that we're supposed to have in this world are just ridiculed and persecuted.
Yeah, and it's sad. We're in a sad state of affairs right now, and hopefully, if you get anything from the 30 minutes that we just provided to you, that you gain acceptance. So maybe the next time we do this, we don't have to have somebody on here anonymous. Maybe there would be growing into more acceptance in our culture, but I don't foresee that happening in the next couple of years, unfortunately.
Hopefully it'll be. I don't know. Hopefully it'll happen in my kid's lifetime. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
But
I'd like to thank Madam X for being here and sharing very personal information with us
and giving us a good insight on some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this was more of a. Well, we had a couple little cracked little jokes there, but it was more of a. This is more of a serious side. More of a, not serious, but more of a regular podcast for us this week. But we've got some good stuff coming up here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I have a list now. I'm up to 24 podcast topics here I've been working on. So, and I'm sure Chris has got a list of his own. So we got some entertainment set up for you where we'll be more upbeat and positive. But this was something that I really wanted to do. We were talking about doing it last Halloween, but it never came to fruition. And
And
then
if you all have any comments or questions about that, feel free to message us on Twitter, Facebook,
Instagram, Google Plus, Tumblr, our website, which is
Libsyn, LIBSYN.
www.com, and follow us on our Facebook page. That's where
Did you say Tumblr?
I did say Tumblr.
Okay. Did you say iHeartRadio?
I did not say iHeartRadio.
iTunes?
I did not say iTunes, nor did I say Stitcher. I could be here all day. You can find us anywhere. Literally, just Mike Chris Reloaded in the search browser, and bam!
There we are.
We're in your face.
YouTube.
Like a maple syrup thing. I just wanted to say, I'm watching. It's probably the dumbest show I've ever seen in my entire life, but I can't stop watching it. Riverdale? Have you?
I've seen like the first 2 episodes.
Okay. It's based on the Archie comic book, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with the actual story in the Archie comic book.
Oh, no, it's more dark and serious.
Yeah, it's dark and serious. And the football team would keep a list of sexual conquests from their high school, and they would take pictures of them and superimpose maple syrup on their face and call it the sticky or something like that. I don't know why I keep watching it.
I guess I haven't reached that episode yet.
I can't stop watching it. I'm on. Me and the kids and wife are watching. We're on episode, I don't know, 6, 7, and it's just I'm hooked. And it's more of a high school drama, but check it out. It is funny. I just want to recommend it. Check it out. It is funny. You'll like it. But that's all the time we got today, man.
That's all I got. Thank you, Madam X. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah, hey, no problem. Hey, never mind. All right, I'm out of here. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.